Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to Our Nerdiest Thing. Today we are live with a very special guest, author Kelly Finley. Kelly has been proclaimed Queen of Spice by her Lemonhead fandom and writes what she lovingly calls shameless fiction. Dedicated to writing books featuring characters with proud love, shameless heat, brave hearts, and whip-smart minds, she's most likely at her keyboard putting the next spicy story on the page for you right now. She is the author of the Come For Me series and her most recent release, Tempt Her. A rebel with many causes, she fancies black leather, dirty jokes, big hearts, and smart mouths. She lives in the Carolinas with her sexy husband and cherished family. Welcome to the podcast, Kelly. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, how have we spent all this time together and I just caught that one of the series is called Come For Me? Like, how did I never catch on to that?
Yes. Every time I've typed it and seen it, I'm like, oh.
It's actually like, so the first three are romantic suspense, and it is about a stalker. So it's that whole, playing on that word. But, I like the original, what is it? A double entendre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it too.
So,
all the innuendo. So tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming an author. What did that look like for you?
I've been writing since I was a little girl, like, in class, like little writing prompts, and I loved it. I went through high school and college and I started with creative writing, but then it turned into academic. And so I actually teach college by day for 22 years. Was writing academic, scholarly stuff. I'll say stuff now. But I missed the creative writing. And once, the world pressed the brakes with, COVID, I was like, let me just take some time. And this story was waking me up at 4:00 in the morning. I'm an avid reader. And this is my favorite quote. It's actually on my wall. If the book isn't out there, then you need to write it. And so I was like, I kind of want to read a different kind of heroine who will kick ass, but also will have smecks a lot. And I don't read that a lot. It's either one or the other. So that's how I got started. And I turned around, and I guess technically it's been 3 years, and I just released my 7th book. So and I'm working on my 8th. So here I am.
Are you still teaching, Kelly?
I am. I'm still teaching. I love it. I actually teach women's and gender studies. So, and I teach a lot about sexuality. And so this is, my students are starting to find me. I don't know how I feel about this. And they're like, what are you writing? And I'm like, feminist smut. That's
Wasn't it you online that you went in to get your hair cut and all the girls were reading your book? Wasn't that you?
That was at the dentist office. And they're like,
that's even worse.
No, my favorite is that my husband goes there too. And I gotta admit, my husband's like a daddy. He's a cutie. And they're like, we want to know, reading your books and meeting your husband. They had all kinds of questions. I was like, y'all.
Well, one thing that Whitney always asks authors is if their husbands try out the scenes with them just to make sure like the acrobatics work. So I'm sure he's probably received that question at some point.
Oh yeah, he has. I write some very spicy stuff. I'm not going to sit here and say I've done all of this stuff. It is fiction and fantasy for a reason, but he's a good sport.
Well, congratulations to you for that, Kelly.
Thank you.
That leads me into my next question. You say that you write shameless fiction. So tell us a little bit about what that means for you, why that's important for you, and kind of how that phrase kind of even came about for you.
It came about because, I come from the literary, I studied in London and I studied the classics. And so then when you go into fiction, there's this, not everybody, but some people can shame you for reading romance and spice. And it's not that. And then I've heard people shame people. They're like, well, you don't read good literature. You don't know good literature. And I was like, I've got a degree in good literature, but I'm tired of reading dead white men. And also I love good women's fiction, as we call it, but I also want to read some spice and some heat. And I've even been shamed by some fellow authors, for writing such spicy romance. And at first I took that to heart, but then I was like, you know what? No. And then when I put my academic hat on, I'm like, shame is what causes silence, and silence creates violence. And so I actually really take it on seriously. Like our sexuality should not be a place of shame if we want to read it, write it, celebrate it, express it. So it's kind of a fun little catchphrase, shameless fiction, but I actually take it quite to heart.
Well, and your website also has this quote that says, you don't need permission, you just need passion. So I think obviously that is connecting to your writing, these kinds of stories like you're talking about. Does that also connect for you in other parts of your life as well?
Oh yeah. I mean, I used to I still get in trouble. And I mean, and you're going to, and I always try to teach people, you're not going to make everybody happy. You might upset some people, and that's going to be okay. If your heart's in the right place, you just keep going. And nobody's going to give permission, especially now. Well, that's not true. It's getting better, but people are giving permission for women to speak loudly, what they think, what they feel, their opinions, etc. So quit asking for permission. Just say it. Just let them deal with it. You're not emotionally responsible for everybody. You just do you.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about Tempt Her. It's been getting a lot of buzz on my feeds, on books.
My feeds as well.
So. Oh, I love hearing that. Oh, so Tempt Her is a story that is about a woman who's married to a evil senator, and he's abusing her economically, emotionally, and verbally. And we meet her in the book at her lowest point, and they're getting ready to have a party for all of his friends. And, she's a trophy wife to him, and he's like, paint the house. And she's like, fine. And 3 hot painters show up. And that's where we meet in the beginning. But the story came from, I was actually watching TV in the news, and I don't care what side of the aisle politics are on. Some of these guys can be so mean, and I thought to myself, what poor person is partnered with a man like that? I really thought to myself, could you imagine having to share a mattress with this individual? That's really where I've had this story actually in my head for a long time, and I finally got brave enough to write it because I wanted it to be like a shameless, sexy story, but it's got a plot to it too.
Well, so it's a why choose painter situation.
Yes, it's a why choose, and it's also unique in some why chooses because not all, but many, it's cross swords. So the men are already.
I love that. Mm-hmm. I love it. That is like my favorite part of I choose.
I have never heard that phrase before, Kelly. You just introduced me to something new.
Did I?
Yeah, the cross swords. I haven't heard that.
Yes. That's the emoji and the euphemism used, in a lot of online spaces where it implies that the men are already, or they will, or already in a relationship. So, and I wanted to be able to express that too. They're very connected and very committed to each other, and they meet her, Stacy. So yes, it's and then it gets real spicy.
One thing, Kelly, I was going to tell you is this is why my husband won't let me get a pool, because he said we'd have to have like a pool boy to come clean it. And he's like, I can't have like hot guys without shirts on in the backyard cleaning our pool. He's like, you already get all excited about getting in the water anyway, and then you got a hot guy out there. I was like, well, you could just take your shirt off and clean it. I mean, it doesn't, but so yeah, no pool in my future because he's worried about it turning into a why choose.
I mean, my husband, like I said, he's a good sport and he's got a lot of confidence, but he actually likes my books. He likes reading them. So I'm flattered.
That's a good supportive partner.
Mm-hmm.
So we obviously talk a lot about books on our podcast, but we also talk about other nerdy things that we love, fandoms, things like that. So we would love to know what kind of fandoms you are a part of, or maybe that you love to watch from afar, whether they're book related or otherwise.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so fandom. I've been watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians forever. And honestly, at first it was that whole hoity-toity, whatever, but it's actually my girls they wanted to watch it, and it was a great way for us to bond. And now I'm like, I love it. So that's one, nerdy little thing or confession that I have. I can geek out on philosophy too, but I had to do it for so long. But boy, you give me a book and I'll start going, woo. And I can throw out language and lingo, and you put me with my professor hat on and I start going down that road, and I'm like, no more.
Can I side question about Keeping Up with the Kardashians? Because I used to watch, like, guilty pleasure watch, and then be like, I know they're so horrible. Did you watch the episodes about the Paris robbery?
Yes.
Did you feel like, I felt like that very much humanized all of them for me. And I really enjoy watching them a lot more now I just genuinely enjoy them as their personalities now. Did you feel that too?
Yeah, no, that I always connected with them, or I guess maybe I don't know if it's being older, but you push back from the table or you push back from the screen, and this are young adults who have lost their father, and have lost them surrounding another drama with the whole OJ thing, and I distinctly remember that. So I just kind of always approach that story with compassion for them. But yeah, I think that they have shown a lot of growth and maturity. And then nowadays they talk about the price that they have had to pay for it, which I think is really interesting too. So I like this show, and then I'm also like, damn, if I could have a makeup and glam team like that. Oh my God.
Yeah. Isn't that right? So I do want to ask you a little bit about Less Than the Lowcountry. That's the RomanceCon that you and Susie Webster have created, that's going to be in Charleston. Actually, gosh, and not very long at all. It's the first weekend in October, and we're going to be there working with you and the authors, which we're so excited about. But what do you want our listeners to know about Less Than the Lowcountry?
We're really excited about Lust in the Lowcountry because first, it's an intimate event. We all love the really big book extravaganzas, and they're amazing. But this one is a bit more intimate, so you have a more of a chance to get to meet some of your favorite authors. Another really unique feature is we also have like events that we're featuring with that kind of 1-to-1 or 1-to-15, which is pretty rare to be able to do that with some of your favorite authors, like Pirate Ship with Pam Godwin and Sea of Ruin, that kind of thing, or Walking the Beach with Emily Rath and Plucking Around, it's just like, it's a lot of fun. But also the really unique aspect on the author side is it's also it features emerging authors and authors who aren't big, massive, like we all know and love our favorite best-selling authors, but we all are also big fans of authors that aren't quite at that tier. And I don't know how many readers know it's really hard to get a seat at that table, literally that book signing table. And so this is an opportunity for some of your authors, like you talked about, people that you see on TikTok, but you might not see at, some of these book signings. That's what Susie wanted to create. So I was actually an author the first year and saw what she was trying to do and believed in it so much. I was like, can I help you? And she's like, yes. So that's how it came about.
Kelly, can you tell us, how many tickets are left and what people can expect whenever they do get those tickets, and what are you most excited about?
Oh my gosh, you're going to make me pick what I'm excited about. We have plenty of tickets. It's a big venue, and Saturday, October 7th from 11 a.m. to about 4 p.m. We have over 70 authors and vendors, book cover models. You all will be there doing some fun things with our authors. I'm super excited about that, like some, Q&A and things. That's going to be fun. And then that night we have our pirate theme party, where you don't have to dress like a pirate, but who doesn't want to dress
like my winch
pirate?
costume. I already bought it. I'm really excited about it.
I'm still trying to decide if I want to be funny or if I want to be cute with my costume.
That's a tough call. I don't know. That is a tough call, but we'll be doing that. It's kind of like the big, close out that night. We still have a few tickets left for some of the intimate events with our readers. Like I just released tickets for a date night with David, which is my cover model, and he's flying in from, I think now I'm flying him in from Bali.
Can you hold that cover up so the viewers can see it, Kelly? He's so pretty.
He is so pretty. He's gorgeous. And he's actually a really sweet guy, and we've gotten to be buddies. And so he's flying in. And so I'm like, who wants a date night with a cover model? So we're going to hop on a party bus. I think it's going to be me and Brittany Nicole. And we're going to go into Charleston, go over the bridge, go into Charleston, and like jump out and do all these fun things. So I'm excited about that. So there are plenty events left over for readers, plenty of tickets. And if you go get your ticket now, we'll be sending out more exciting updates as we get closer and closer. We're like less than 2 months out. Oh my God.
I know, it's going to be so great. We're so excited. So we do want to get a little bit nerdy with you. So I would love to go into a speed round, and I'm going to ask you, just give you some prompts and you can answer off the top of your head. And this is called our nerdy and dirty speed round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. The last song you listened to.
I was on my Peloton. I don't know. It was probably, I think it was Usher. What were they playing? It was Usher on Peloton.
Oh, that's a good Peloton song. What fictional character do you have a crush on?
Of mine or anybody?
Either.
I love my character Silas. I think everybody loves him so much. So I keep bringing him back.
Yeah, I think everybody loves Silas. What book series do you always recommend?
I love Ravenhood.
Oh yeah, that's a great series.
Yeah, I mean that was so like chef's kiss, so well done.
It really is. What book character would you get nerdy and dirty with?
Silas.
What TV series should everyone watch?
I loved Sex Life. B.B. Easton's book. I think it was overdue to have a show like that, and I'd like to see more of it. So I really enjoyed that, not just for the hot scenes, but just the whole narrative of, a woman and negotiating her sexuality in marriage. I loved it.
Yeah, that's awesome. What food do you refuse to eat?
Lima beans. I hate them.
Oh yeah, those are gross. What paranormal power would you want to have?
Immortality. I need more time.
I agree. And then I wouldn't be so worried about, getting everything done in a day.
Could you imagine?
What's your favorite weekend activity?
Anything with my husband?
Sure.
Okay, there you go. You can use your imagination.
Right. Smut or plot?
I have to say smut, because I don't want to read any more all plot. I mean, like I said, and no offense, I'd like to have if you're going to make me pick, I'm going to say the smut, because I've read enough plot.
Yeah, that's a really good point. What is your favorite childhood book?
Charlotte's Web. I must have read it a dozen times.
And what are you currently reading, or what's the last book you finished and loved?
I just finished Not So Lucky, Trelina Pucci. She's one of my favorites.
I'm seeing that everywhere right now.
Love. Yes. I love her. I love her work. I just started a book by C.E. Ricci, and I'm going to forget the title. And then I still count audiobooks. So I just finished I just finished listening to Double Pupped by Lauren Blakely, and that was really good.
Yeah.
That's on my TBR too.
Yeah. I
all of the hockey romances are on Mindy's TBR, and then she hooks us into all of them too. And final question in the speed round: cake or pie?
Cake. All day long.
100%. Cake, donuts, anything fluffy, and bread. I'm on board.
Anything with icing on it.
That's true. So to just flip the narrative here, I would love to ask you 3 tough questions, and then Mindy's going to ask you 4 random questions. Okay. So tell us about a scene that you had to edit out of a book, but you really wanted to keep in, and why?
My first book, Pierce Her, is the more romantic suspense. I had this really hot scene that involved a blindfold and a body stocking that she was wearing. I was just like all going for it.
Tell me more.
Yeah, it was so much fun. But at the time I thought, oh, this is too spicy, this is too whatever, and so I deleted it out. Now I'll be like, oh, and they're gonna do this and this and this and this and this. But
You're like, it wasn't spicy enough.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, is it like tame now? Like when you look back, you're like, well, that was pretty tame.
Yeah, I mean,
compared to what you're writing
honestly,
now.
how I would write it now, after 7 books in, I'm getting more and more fearless and spicy. And now I'm like, crap, is it ever too spicy?
No.
But okay, good to know. All right, because my next book is going to be like, but yeah, I think one of the things I've learned is everybody has a first book. And everybody is finding their voice. And, we talk about like shameless fiction. And, I kind of felt those voices of everybody else shaming me and writing that. So I didn't. But now I would definitely put that scene back in.
Well, and I really attribute Bookstagram to really giving authors more leeway to do this, because what has happened is all of these women have said, wait, I also read that and enjoy it. Wait, I read that and enjoy it. And it's okay to be comfortable in your own skin. And it's okay to really enjoy sex. And it's okay to enjoy sex that maybe someone else wouldn't enjoy. And it's been this really liberating time that is so exciting. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
So tell us one super specific detail about one of your characters that doesn't affect the story, but is maybe canon to you or makes you fall in love with them even more.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you're going to make me pick. I think one of my favorite characters to write is Eiley. All for him. This book here. She's our nerdy, cute little artist girl. And she's she's an indigo artist. And so I've actually met, and been around indigo artists and stuff like that. So I could have taken that element out of the story. It didn't really need to, be necessarily in there, but that detail about her is just something that I just loved. And, exploring that and just the whole thing, I totally nerded out on that, on indigo art and how it's made.
Oh yeah. It's so interesting. And what is a writing ritual that you have that might seem strange or unhinged to another author?
To another author? I don't know, because I think we all have really weird things that we do. I'm a morning writer. I'm a 4 a.m. writer. I drink copious amounts of coffee. But I know some writers like to go like straight through, but I think I'm a little different, that I will edit back and edit back and edit back until by the time I'm at the end, I feel the whole thing is about done. Wow. So I kind of revise and write. So that's kind of unusual. I think I know others might do it.
Well, now we're going to move into 4 random questions. These are super fun. So the first thing I want to know is, what's the most embarrassing thing you've ever said or done?
Gosh, the most embarrassing thing I've ever said.
In a public setting.
In a public setting. Yeah. I know one. I gave a speech for Gloria Steinem, the famous feminist. She had laryngitis and was a speaker at our university. It was like 10,000. It was like thousands of people as the audience. And my colleagues asked me to speak for her. So she was sitting beside me and I was giving the speech. And at some point in her script was something about kitty power. I'll say that, kitty power. And I'm sitting here saying it right in front of the chancellor and the provost and every distinguished person in my big city where I live. And I'm like, and there was part of me that was embarrassed. Another part of me was like, yeah, and I just said that because Gloria Steinem said it.
Right. I mean, they had to know what they were getting into, right? It's not a surprise that was going to come out of her mouth.
Right. Exactly. It was kind of one of those moments where you talk about embarrassing, but at some point it's like, it can be liberating. You're like,
right. What a surreal moment for you too to get to do that.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Huge deal. Well, I've been to Charleston before, and we did some ghost tours, and I like to look at cemeteries. So I know there's like a very rich history in ghost stories and things like that in Charleston. So have you yourself ever seen a ghost or had a paranormal experience?
I haven't seen a ghost per se, but I've felt things, you know. And of course, like most of us at some age, you've lost people along the way, and so I still talk to them like they're here. So I believe in that. And then you get this like kind of feelings too, like Vujade, as they call it, and all kinds of stuff like that. So yeah, I totally believe in all of that.
So what movie or TV show do you quote or reference most often? Like where do you pick out your comebacks from?
My favorite, I can't stop, is I don't know if y'all have ever seen it, French Kiss with Meg Ryan and oh my God, Kevin Kline. And I guess it came out in the 90s when I was in my 20s, and I know the whole thing, and I relate to her character, and I can do the entire movie.
That's a cute movie.
That is a good one too. We haven't really heard. We mostly get TV shows, so I really love that was a movie.
My favorite line, it was actually Kevin Kline's. It was "Happy people make my ass twitch."
I need to put that on t-shirt.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Okay. And finally, this is really important because I don't have one of these, and so I'm like taking notes. What is your zombie apocalypse plan?
Oh, my zombie apocalypse plan is, I'm very lucky that I'm a good shot. So
I'm gonna follow you around then.
Yeah.
We were talking to someone the other day, and we just said we're both just gonna get eaten. Like we're just gonna not delay. We're gonna just give in because it's gonna be really hard to run, and we're not gonna win anyway. So we're just gonna go over to the dark side.
I mean, I can't. My dad was a hunter on this, and people have this. I had all kinds of mixed feelings as a kid growing up, and I still do. Don't get me wrong, but all that to say, I got taught how to use a weapon, and I happened to be. My dad was like, "God, you're better than me," and I was like, "Yeah."
That's awesome. Well, I know Tempt Her has come out fairly recently, and you did mention you were working on something else. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're writing next?
Oh, I'm so excited about what I'm writing next, and I can tell you my title now. I'm waiting on my cover. It hasn't come out yet, but the title is Holiday for Six. And
it's a why choose.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's a why choose. I'm bringing back 3 couples who are, so all of my books are in the same world. And so I'm bringing back Charlie and Daniel, Silas and Eileen, and Reddix and Cade. And they're on a super yacht for between Christmas and New Year's Eve. And they're going from Miami to the Bahamas and back. And the whole idea is the wives come up with this idea that everybody has to bring a sexy adult gift and wrap it, and then they open a gift a night. So, yeah. And I mean, so my plan is it's like a New Year's Eve, New Year's Day themed book, holiday book. So, I mean, I have always wanted to write it. This is definitely spicy. Maybe it's got a little bit of plot, like sprinkle. But I'm going to be honest with readers. This is like more spice than plot. But I don't know about y'all, but on New Year's Day, I'm tired. It's cold, at least where I am. I have the day off. I don't want, and I'm like, I just want to curl up with the shameless, smuttiest. So I'm writing what I want to read yet again. So
will it be out by this New Year's Eve, Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's coming out this New Year's Eve. Yeah.
That might be my hangover book then.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that's what I should call it. This is everybody's hangover book.
It'll get your blood pumping and ready to get back into the swing of things.
Yes. Yeah, you won't have to think a lot. You can just get all the titillating feels and just be like, oh, okay, fine. And what a way to start the year, right?
Yeah. Started on a positive
Sounds good
note.
to me.
That
Sounds
needs to
really
go.
good.
Titillating Fields needs to go in the marketing plan. It's not already.
Get over your hangover with the titillating fields.
Titillating fields. The hair of the dog and titillating fields.
Exactly, right.
Love it, love it. So obviously you are, coordinating Less in the Lowcountry. Do you have any other festivals or book signings or anything that you're doing, not organizing, but actually just going as an author?
Not for 2024, not quite. Because I teach, it is kind of hard for me to, pop in and pop out and keep up that schedule. I've got some things I'm working on for 2025. So not quite yet. We'll see if I can make some things happen. And also I'd like to build up my backlist and continue to, have a bit more like when I'm, there, that I have a bit more that I could feature. So stay tuned for 2025.
All right. So nowadays you can buy books from so many different venues and stores and whatnot. So what's the best place for our listeners and us to buy your books, or which ones, what benefits you the most?
It always helps an author if, you buy directly from them, so, and I offer signed paperbacks on my website, kellyfinley.com. And I even have like a special unique stamp for all the covers that David is on, like he made me. So you get like a stamp and, unique thing. And I always like to throw a little fun things in the packaging too. My PR boxes, you can get the signed paperback, and then I like to throw in a little bit of adult items.
Oh, that's really fun. I've not seen that done. It should be done more often, let's be honest.
That definitely should.
Stacy and Tempt Her opens her store Deltas, which is an adult store. And, for those people who are reading Tempt Her, I'm Easter egging a lot of characters. So that's the world we're moving into for 2024. And I'm thinking to myself, nothing makes a better fun plot than owning an adult store in Charleston too, where we will all be for lit. So maybe we'll have to do a field trip to Guilty Pleasures, which is one of our sponsors. Y'all, that is one of the best stores I would
love that. We dragged Whitney into a store in Galena, Illinois. It was called Naughty Kitty. And it was KNOTTY Kitty. It was like really odd. And we were walking across the street and we see like these middle-aged white men like standing over there giggling. They're like, and I looked at them and I was like, is that an adult store? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, let's go in. So we walk by and we look at the guys and they're giggling. And I looked at them and I was like, we're going in, you can go with us. You want to just walk in there. And so they did. But yeah, it was a good day of purchases. I'll just leave it at that.
I love Guilty Pleasures, and even my friends, because I've been to all kinds of stores. They live in Charleston, but they had never been. And we did a whole thing there, and they're like, oh my gosh. It's big and they have all kinds. It's just fantastic. We got to do it.
Okay,
let's do a live podcast from Guilty Pleasures.
I would actually really love that. Let's discuss
totally down for that.
For sure, because we'll be there on Thursday. So we could definitely set that up. That sounds really fun.
That would be awesome. So yes, we definitely have to make that happen. Where can we find you online?
You can find me on kellyfinley.com. You can find me in Kindle, KU, Amazon, and that's really where all my books are. And if you want to get them signed, you can buy directly from me.
And do you have like an Instagram account? Do you do any social media?
Oh, yes. I am on TikTok at Kelly Finley Books, and I am on Instagram and Facebook at Kelly Finley Author. And I share all kinds of stuff. I'm constantly, this past weekend, I was trying to write and I heard this noise. I was like, what? And it was like a vacuum cleaner. And so I was like, hey, everybody, watch this. And like, you want to know why I write spicy books? It was because my husband was vacuuming the sofa. Y'all, he was cleaning the sofa. And I have never been more turned on in my life. And I have them on Instagram. I'm like, everybody want to know why? I was like, look at this. Look
It's
at
even
this.
hotter that you didn't have to prompt him to do it, Kelly.
I
That's
know.
what I'm saying. I mean, that's my point. At first I was mad. I was like, what is he doing? And then I'm like, oh, okay.
Men, take note. Don't make us be your mothers and do shit on your own and you'll get laid.
Thank you. Thank you. Nothing is bigger turn off than having to clean, but nothing will turn a woman on when you clean for her. Like you are going to get some action. You're going to get some action.
Oh, too funny. Your feed is definitely very entertaining. So I highly recommend anybody go to your Instagram feed because it is super fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
We just have one final question. And on our podcast, at the end of every podcast, we discuss one thing, or sometimes it's two or three, but we talk about our nerdiest thing of the week. And it could be something book related. It could be something we said. It could be something we did. It could be something totally like just off the wall. So we would love to know what your nerdiest thing of the week is.
God, okay. I bought these things because, as a writer, it's all in the hands and the wrist, and, you got, honestly, like my wrist starts to bother me and stuff like that. So I felt so nerdy, but I'm like, I got to do it. I bought these things that they look like spider webs on your fingers and they exercise your fingers. And apparently they're for mountain climbers, but I don't climb mountains. I just type smut, but I'm sitting there watching TV doing this. And I know I look like an idiot going like this. I don't care. I'm like, I need to keep my hands. They're my livelihood. So
well, I'm gonna say
was your husband like, what are you practicing for?
Yeah, exactly. He was like, yeah, baby, you get work those hands.
Yeah, you're getting ready for a romantic evening.
Exactly. I got the death grip now. Because you start off at 6 pounds of pressure and then you can get up to 15 pounds. Also, could you imagine if your fingers could exert 15 pounds of pressure?
Then I would feel bad for your husband. I'm gonna say that out loud.
That's too many pounds.
Yeah.
Too much centrifugal force.
So when I write in my book, I'll Easter egg for nerdiest thing to be when she strangled his member. She really did because she got 15 pounds.
15 pounds of force.
You should
You're
make it
setting that up. You're foreshadowing that through the whole book.
You should make it she doesn't realize the strength that she has until he's like, whoa. Oh yeah, I have been working out my fingers a lot. Sorry.
These things for
Oh my God, you think I'm kidding, but I totally will probably.
No, you totally should.
Okay, please do, and we will. I'm gonna have you sign right next to it and put it in my library.
Yep.
That'd be great.
Name her Whitney or Deb or Mindy, and we'll know.
Deb's not a sexy name, so don't do that one. That just make. No sexy character is named Deb or Deborah, Kelly, ever. You look shocked at that, but they're like, oh, that's my grandma's name. Don't do it.
I think of Deborah Harry and Blondie, and I think she was
right.
Well, thank you, but also she's not really a spring chicken anymore, and that's kind of my point.
Well, I think she's hot.
Yeah, I always thought the Deborah off of Will and Grace. I forget her last name, but I think she's beautiful.
Yeah, Deborah Messing.
Yeah, she's beautiful. So I mean, I could picture her in a book. I'd be okay with that.
Well, when I get that scene where she chokes a little too much.
Oh gosh, I can't wait.
I can't wait.
I'm gonna have to ask my husband and all my guy friends all the questions I ask on time. I was like, is this such a thing? Can you really choke it too much? They're probably like, hell no.
Right. Whitney,
I don't know.
I can see you hesitating. Whitney would say yes, but I can't tell you why.
Okay, fair enough. Oh,
I could tell a couple stories off of the recording. Maybe
we'll do it over drinks, Kelly. We'll
maybe in Charleston.
Okay, that's a deal. That's a date.
I'll share a story with
you. To tell me.
Yeah. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for being on the podcast with us. It's always fun to talk with you. We always love when we get to chat longer than just a few minutes, and we're really excited to meet you in person and have drinks and share our fun stories with each other at Less in the Lowcountry in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
soon.
Yes. Yeah. It's come. Yeah.
It probably stresses all of us out, but it's about 5 weeks from now, I think. But thank you so much. We're excited to see you, and have a good night. Thank you so much for being on with us today.
Thanks. This was so much fun. I appreciate it. Can't wait to meet you all in person.